You're looking at the East Wing of the White House today. Demolition has officially begun on President Trump's brand new, huge ballroom. But can he do that? Just start tearing down the White House? Well, before I get to that answer, here's what Trump had to say about this construction at a ceremony in the East Room today.
You see the gold drapes? That's a knockout panel. We knock it in, you go, that comes out. And then you have essentially glass and exactly in the decor of the White House. I didn't know I'd be standing here right now because right on the other side, you have a lot of construction going on, which you might hear periodically. But that's a knockout panel, and that goes right into the ballroom. And the ballroom's going to be beautiful.
So the demolition on the East Wing is happening right here at the east entrance where usually guests enter into the White House. It's unclear how much of this is going to be demolished, but you can see from this original picture of the East Wing and Trump's rendering of the new ballroom up on top, you can see this corridor right here is still sort of visible on the rendering, and it looks like what's going to happen is that the ballroom is going to be extended out this way. So the question is, can he do this? Tear down the front face of the East Wing? You'd think there's someone or some historical preservation organization that's responsible for giving approval for construction projects like this at historic buildings, like the White House. Well, you'd be right. There's actually a few of them. But I want to focus on the National Capital Planning Commission, which was established in the National Capital Planning Act of 1952. Other presidents in the past have absolutely needed to get the National Capital Planning Commission's approval to make any change on the White House grounds. In fact, in 2018, President Trump himself had to get the commission's approval for renovations at the White House Tennis Pavilion. Those planning approvals took about a year to come through. So this process is not new to Trump. He's been through it before. But as of the last meeting of the National Capital Planning Commission, which was just last month, there were no plans submitted to them for this East Wing demolition. In fact, now the commission is taking a completely different stance. The chairman of that commission said that his commission has absolutely no oversight or jurisdiction over demolition on the White House grounds.
It is, in fact, the case that this commission does not have jurisdiction. It has long denied that it has jurisdiction over demolition and site preparation work for federal buildings on federal property. What we deal with is essentially construction, vertical build. And I think any assertion that this commission should have been consulted earlier than it has been or than it will be, is simply false and represents a misunderstanding of this commission's role in that project. When we are submitted a plan, we will review that plan when the time comes.
You heard him. He's trying to split hairs there. He says the commission does not have jurisdiction over demolition, but they do have jurisdiction over new construction. Now, that's exactly what the White House is insisting, and that checks out, because the chairman of the National Capital Planning Commission may look familiar to you. That's Will Scharf. He is the exact same guy who always talks about and then hands President Trump the executive orders for him to sign. Scharf is the White House staff secretary, and President Trump installed him as the chairman of the National Capital Planning Commission in July of this year, coincidentally, the exact same month that Trump announced this ballroom project.